Well, we knew each other, or we didn't really meet in a sense, but it was about 71 years ago. And I was about 15, and I came from Saskatchewan, and there was no place there to go to high school. But my brother lived up at Canadian Junior College at Lacombe, Alberta, and him and his wife were married, and they said, you come and live with us. And that particular day when my sister-in-law picked me up, she had to take a lunch out to her husband, which was my brother, who was hauling grain. So she grabbed the lunch and we headed out to the thrashing place. And on the way out, she said, you've just got to see this. There's this kid out there that's only 13, and he can work just like a man. He builds a nice big load with his sheaves, and it's neat, and keep everything. And I just hope he's coming into the machine, and I'll point him out to you. So we got there, and my brother's eating his lunch, and she said, oh, here comes Lorne Ganson. That's the kid.
I saw her there, and I knew her other brother real well. We were good friends, George. And so I said to him the next day or two, I said, who's that pretty red-headed girl that was out there with you guys yesterday? Oh, is that your wife? No, he said, that's my sister. And then, you know, the bell started, the wheels started going round and round.
My mom got really sick, and I had to quit school and go home to help Dad care for her. And so when we got up there, lo and behold, Lorne's family, you'd moved back or something, right?
Moved on to a farm not too far from where.
So then we'd drive to school, you see, and he was driving to school in a car too, and him and my brother were friends, so we got acquainted. And they would work together on some things, so he would come to our house for meals or something, and after the meal was over and we'd wash dishes, he'd always help me dry the dishes, and we'd talk, and we just became good friends. It was a little bit before Christmas, wasn't it? And we'd been to Red Deer for something, and on the way home, I can still see his face there as he was driving, and he asked me if I would marry him.
And she made a mistake and said she would.
It was a house wedding. It was at his folks' house. And they decorated the corner. My sister helped, because Mom was sick, you see. And decorated the corner all up with ribbons and bells and stuff, eh? And we had the wedding there. Before we got married, we had this Bible teacher, and everybody liked him. And he was also a pastor. And he was talking to us one day, and he said, there's one thing I want you kids to remember, and that is, if you've had a disagreement, never go to bed without saying you're sorry, and pray together.
People that pray together can stay together and live together. So it's important, you know, to have a family unit and to share and study and worship together. Eh?
So anyway, we had our disagreements. One day he came home and he'd traded the car off and gotten a different one. I thought, oh my. And then one day he came home and he said, I've rented a garage and we're moving. I'm going to run this garage. And we learned to discuss things between each other before we made decisions.
It was one thing we always did. We moved a lot in our first years of marriage, but we always went together. We went and did everything. We did everything as a family.
You know, the idea was then that the family, the wife and family lived in town and the husband went out to camp. And we thought, no, it's very important that we be together. These kids need their dad and we need to be together.
Stay together. Don't. If you got to move someplace, move as a family. Stay together
and try to do things together.
do things together.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be expensive. Just do simple. Go for a hike. Go for a drive. Just do things together. When you get married, it isn't about what I want. It's about what each of you want. And I remember Lorne coming home just shortly after we were married, and we had said, you know, it's 50-50. But one day he came home from, he was working in a garage at that time, and he came home and he said, you know, he said, it's 100. We each give 100 to make the other person happy. And we thought about that, and we thought that maybe was a good idea. And so we did try to be considerate of the other person, both of us did, and tried to make each other happy.